Activism and Geology, Risks, Responses and Engagement. This is going to be a 1 hour masterclass that will talk about the evolving world of public activism in the field of geology. I'm going to go through now exactly what we will look at, what the details of this course would be. I'll go into a little bit more detail on what that looks like and for whom this would be relevant. So, first of all, however, let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Dr. Alan Hardacre. I am the co-founder of Advocacy Strategy and Advocacy Academy, both based in Brussels, Belgium. These two businesses are all about public affairs management and public affairs upskilling. So I have, for the last 25 years, been based out of Brussels, working in the field of public affairs. So I have been doing in-house work, I have worked for think tanks, and I have worked for trade associations. For the majority of those 25 years, I have done that based out of Brussels. So I have been operating across a number of countries around the world, from the one side on the US and Canada, all the way down to Australia on the other hand. One of my largest professional experiences was in-house as the Director of Group Corporate Affairs for Imperial Brands, which is one of the first places that I really truly came across activism. Although in much of my consulting since those days, I have been working for the crop protection industry, through which I have also experienced a significant amount of activism, which is relevant to the course that we're going to look at today. And finally, in terms of my background, I am currently in the process of finalising the 4th edition of How to Work with the EU Institutions, a practical guide to successful public affairs in the EU, which is again partially relevant for what we're going to look at in this workshop. And of course, that all combines in me doing a lot of teaching at universities around the world, in Belgium, the Netherlands, the UK, Switzerland, and Thailand, all on the subject of public affairs. As I mentioned, one of the biggest areas that I have worked across in the last 10 years of my professional life has been how organisations manage activism. And we wanted to pull that together in a course dedicated for geology and for geologists, as we will look at in a second. So basically, the top line overview of this course is that we want to just look at basically what exactly is activism, how does it work, and then from a geology perspective, what are the risks that this would pose? What could potential responses be, and how does one go about successfully engaging with this? So the format is it's going to be a live online short course. It's going to last 1 hour. It's going to take place the 13th of June 2025, and it's going to roll from 10 till 11 o'clock. So those are the details of some of the details and some of the logistics. When we come into the detail then, so what we want to do is in this course is really make sure that you have a very good understanding, because maybe some of you are familiar with the world of public affairs and how that works. And we really here want to introduce you to the parallel world of activism and campaigning. Look at where does this come from, how influential is it? But mostly what we want to do is look at the playbook. How does it work? Because that is the critical aspect for us to understand, okay, this is how activism and campaigning works. This is what they do. This is how they do it. Therefore, that feeds into how can we then try to respond? And of course, that will all be linked very clearly to the world of geology at the moment. And of course, in the EU, we have the EU critical raw materials file just coming to life. So this is an extremely timely moment for us to look at activism, because it is almost certain that that file will trigger a lot of activism across the EU. So preparing now would make very good sense. What are the learning outcomes? What would we like you to take away from this course? We would like you to understand activism in its current context and understand how it's evolving. We'd like you to recognize the influence that it can have on the policy, but not just the policy, but also the business operations around natural resources and geology sectors. We want to show you the playbook so that you can see the tactics and the approaches and the strategies that activists will use. And that then basically leads for you from that playbook to understand the risks and opportunities that you have to engage and how to maybe mitigate some of the activism that you may face. And then through that, as we build into how you may wish to respond, we're going to look at the role of engagement, transparency, and trust building, which are three critical elements for success. Alongside that, we'll look at some broader strategies for how you may wish to respond within the context of the EU critical legislation, just to make sure that that is particularly relevant for you right now. And how you basically take all of this together to manage this challenging external environment. Who is this designed for? I think given the current context of the Critical Raw Materials Act in the EU, this would be designed for any geoscientists working in or around extractive industries, renewable energy, environmental geoscience, public policy, science communication. So I think this is probably relevant for a wide audience of people working around the geology sector. Hopefully there will be something in there on how activism works, how it's linked to this critical EU file going forwards, and how this impacts your policy environment, but also your business environment. Good. So hopefully that has given you a clear view of what activism and geology, risks, responses, and engagement, what this masterclass is going to cover. So, as I said, it will be 1 hour online. It will take place on the 13th of June, 2025. And yes, it's very much something that is relevant for a wide audience right now. Let me stress that again, that the impact of activism is not a one-off. This is a mega trend that has been growing for many years now. So hopefully this 1 hour masterclass linked to the EU Critical Materials Act will give you good context on what you can do, how you can respond, and perhaps understand better the situations that you will likely find yourself in the coming years. I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time.